Welcome to the Two Geeks and a Microphone podcast, your one-stop shop for television, movie, video games, comic books, book reviews, and more. Now, without further ado, here's Steven and Mike.
Hey, everybody. Happy day. Man, I am so excited to be here with you today. Welcome to the Two Geeks and a Microphone podcast. We are excited that you're here joining us. I am one of your hosts, Stephen Boster, along with my high school buddy, Mr. Michael Shanks. And we are here just to talk all things geekdom. Again, we are two buddies who have kept in contact over the years since high school, and we love to talk all things geekdom. And I cannot tell you of how excited I am today for our podcast. Man, thanks for joining us. We got a great special guest today to talk. Well, if we stay on the subject, we'll talk Zack Snyder's Justice League. Mike and I have been chomping at the bit to talk about this. But Mike, will you please share with us who is with us today?
Oh, I am super excited about today's guest. If you are a RFR, Rebel Force Radio fan, you're going to be excited too, because we have the third host of Rebel Force Radio. So that means in the last few weeks, we've had the trifecta of Rebel Force Radio. Let me welcome Paul Bateman. Yay! Hello, Paul.
Third wheel of RFR. That's me. Definitely. I can't believe you already called them. I wouldn't have agreed to it if I realized I was third in line.
Oh, wait a minute. In my defense, Paul, actually, you were one of the first people I contacted to be on the podcast. So.
Sure.
Oh, seriously, you
no
were.
Problem. No worries. It's nice to be here, guys.
Yeah. So, Paul, for those who may not know who you are, could you explain just a little bit, just what it is that you do? Kind of what are you feel like are some of your claims to fame, kind of a thing?
Yeah,
that you can talk about. I want to get any NDA trouble here.
Right. Star Wars nut, fellow podcaster. I've been part of the RFR guys kind of thing for a good 15 odd years or however long it's been. Still have a lot to do with the Ralph McQuarrie estate, the guy who designed the original Star Wars movies. He was a friend and collaborator, designed a bunch of his books for him and stuff, and helped out with what the estate does. You know, we organise exhibitions and things like that. Ralph's work and used to sell a lot of prints for him and things like that. I mean, I've done a little bit of everything. I've been in the film industry for about 30 plus years. I've worked for all kinds of people, including Ridley Scott and a bunch of other projects. I've been on everything from Gladiator to Batman to you name it. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's a long list.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There's only a couple missing. I got on Doctor Who. I was in a bunch of stuff too, because Ralph was an extra in The Empire Strikes Back, and I thought, well, why not? You know, my agent called me years ago and said, do you want to be on Revenge of the Sith? And I was like, yeah, definitely. What have I got to do? And they said, oh, you dress up as a fish. That's it. So I was like, okay. I can be a space fish, not a problem.
Nice. Space fish. Yeah. Okay. So wait a minute. So which part were you in? For those that may not know, in which extra were you as a fish?
I was Mina Tills for the UK pickups over here. So I was like, I thought I might be Admiral Akbar's like granddad or something. You know,
right.
You know, they connect everything. But now he is a she. So it's kind of, I think they changed sexes in the Clone Wars. Okay. So now Mina Tills is a lady. So
wow.
Very fun. Okay.
But I don't mind, because Tina Mills, who he's named after, or she's named after now, is a friend of mine. So, and she was over at Lucasfilm, so it's all good. But that's I'm cool. An art director and concept artist working in the film industry, currently doing a bunch of stuff for people who will remain unnamed, including Netflix. So
here's the big question: do you have an action figure?
I do. Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
I am gonna have
the only one I've got left, I think.
What is that?
It's about the only one I've got left, I think. You know, all the rest of them got chewed by the dog. You know. So, yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna have to find your action figure because I gotta have a Paul Bateman action figure, man.
Yeah, man, no problem. Yeah, no worries. Yeah,
Awesome.
I never charge for autographs, so I'll have to send you a sticker or something.
Sounds great. I want to hold you to that.
Sounds good.
So,
Right.
what were you in Doctor Who? Just curious.
Oh, just I worked on there was the Shakespeare Code when we were shooting in London, because usually they shoot out in Wales. So the one that was had the board in it and what have you. You know, we did all that. So
yeah, that was a good episode. I like that.
It was an interesting shoot because we did 4 nights at the Globe Theatre and it was chucking it down with the rain the whole time.
Oh wow.
So yeah, quite bizarre. But it was the Tennant era, so I'm proud of that. So because everybody likes like David Tennant. So.
Okay, I have to ask, who's your favorite Doctor?
Overall, from the beginning or current generation? That's the question.
Okay, let's break it. Classic and new. So what's your favorite?
Classic be Tom Baker.
Awesome.
But John Pertwee is quite close to that. But I met Tom Baker when I was a little kid, so I totally hero worshipped him. The very first time I met him, I thought he was psychic. So it was at a signing at a local bookshop, and I was only like about, I don't know, like 8 or something like that. And I was wearing a little denim suit, as you did in the 70s, you know, with a Bionic Man t-shirt on and a Bionic Man badge on and a Bionic Man cap on.
Oh, wow.
So the whole $6 million man thing going down. And he said, he shook my hand and he had this giant hand. And he said, "Would you like a jelly baby?" You know, so I totally freaked out because he gave me a jelly baby. And then he said,
I'd be freaking out if the doctor offered me a jelly baby.
Yeah, imagine as a kid too, because there's this giant guy in this hat, you know. And I remember him saying, "So you like the Bionic Man?" And I remember just thinking, how does he know? How does he know? You know, it's written all over you.
Time Lord.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Okay, so Tom is your favorite classic, with John Pertwee as a close second.
Yeah.
So who's your favorite in New Who?
I think probably Tennant. I think Tennant because he had just a nice, you know, good-humored, fun, you know, and a great actor. I think probably. Yeah. Nice. Who's the next guy? It was Matt Smith, right?
Matt Smith.
Matt's a close second though. I think I like what he did too, because he had that strange quality of being young yet feeling old. You know.
See, I think you and I are close on that. Tom Baker is my favorite classic Doctor. Right. Of course, I'm an American, and most Americans, you know, we all love Tom Baker. But and then New Who, yeah, I flip flop between David Tennant and Matt Smith. I really like both of them so much. But so yeah, I think we're pretty close in our Doctor Who taste. Cool.
Me too. It's always a fun shoot. Like I remember we were shooting out near Norwich somewhere, which is like the northeast of England. And we were doing this village scene, and one of the things that they always do is distract the kids, because there's always, as soon as they see the TARDIS parked anywhere, the kids will go crazy for it. So you need to keep the kids well behaved in the area, you know. So what we tend to do is you send an assistant director across the road and to bring a kid over, right, one at a time. So they'll bring a kid over and show them the TARDIS and sign something and all that. And the trick is they take the kid back to the line, because there's always a queue of kids behind a railing somewhere, you know. They take the kid back and then say, "See, this kid was so well behaved, you know, we just had to show them the TARDIS and blah, blah, blah." So then after that point, they're all super well behaved, like just standing there being really quiet.
That's a great trick.
That's what they always do, but they'll always grab one and, you know. So it could backfire, of course, because they could suddenly start piling over the fence, couldn't they? Like they're at a rock concert or something. But so far it's been okay. Yeah.
Nice. What a great idea.
Weird bit of truth for any Who fan that's out there. The TARDIS is always a place where everybody stores their bags. So like when you're out on location, it's like everybody just throws their stuff inside the TARDIS. So there's always like loads of coats and bags and, you know, whatever junk people are carrying around that are on the crew just gets stuck inside the TARDIS. Yeah.
Oh wow, I never thought of that, but yeah, that would probably be a great place to stick it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you only got so much room in there, and
yeah,
it's not like you can actually go in it and do anything. So.
Well, when you're out on location, there's normally, like, you know, the unit base is normally a bit of a distance from the actual kind of set itself. So you've got vehicles and you've got tents, but they're normally a little bit of a walk. So when you're actually shooting, there's only, you know, only got so many places you can put things that won't be in shot, but inside the TARDIS is always out of shot, you know. So yeah.
Well, you know what this tells me, don't you? This tells me that we're gonna have to have you back on, and we're gonna have a Doctor Who discussion.
Right.
Oh, right.
I don't know how much Steven will be able to contribute to that, but I think
Right.
you and I can do an entire podcast on.
Oh yeah. Right. Well, cool.
Well,
So, I was just going to ask, with as far as actors go with Doctor Who, who do you think has been like the nicest to work with?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm working with many, so I'd probably have to be David Tennant because he's just so friendly. He's very into photography too, so he takes a lot of pictures. So that means he's quite, as a rule. When you create, I mean, quite often for me, I'm squirreled away somewhere in an art department, working on whatever project it is, and choosing to go on set is a kind of, it doesn't happen that often, even though it might happen 40 times in a year or something like that, but so quite often I won't meet somebody that I've, that's part of a project I've worked on for years, and they'll have no idea that I designed the props or the uniform or whatever it is they're wearing, But with Tennant, it was one of those things where it was like, oh yeah, he's just a friendly guy and taking lots of pictures and wants to get to know everybody, Whereas there are plenty of actors out there who are just like, okay, I don't know who you are, don't care if I don't know who you are,
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's Mike. Mike Shanks is that way.
Yeah.
No, I just messing with you.
Yeah. Really? Yeah, you can tell, man. Yeah.
Yeah. You would think that I was the disturber of the two of us, but he's turned out to be more of the disturber than me.
Yeah.
Just wait. It takes me a while to warm up. Just saying.
Yeah. I think one of the nicest actors I've worked with was Robert Downey. We worked on 2 of the Sherlock Holmes movies. So he was nice, and we share a common interest in kung fu. So that was plenty to talk about there. That's got nothing to do with filming. So
cool.
But nice guy, very nice. A lot of actors at his level are just want nothing to do with anybody, and they're very quiet and all that. But he was very friendly, very sweet. So,
yeah,
lovely guy.
Cool. It's always nice to hear those stories about people who are really nice, and you get to know people and stuff. I know some people want to get on the other side where they're like, oh yeah, they're really a jerk, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Give me the dirt. I'm always interested, like, who are the nice guys? Because nice guys, I'm sorry, but nice guys do not always finish last, and they have some great stories to tell. And so
it's a strange situation as well in the UK, because there's almost like a different kind of culture of there's a certain attitude in London, where everybody's like, I'm not going to be impressed just because you're a film star. They're determined to act like I don't know you, I don't care you're not impressing me. There'll be a handful of kids who'll get excited, but generally adults will try and kind of just ignore what's going on, and that kind of works when you're out on location, because it's not like trying to shoot in the middle of LA. It's
but now over there you guys get excited about the royal family, right?
Well, it depends. It's a generational thing, really. I mean, it's one of those things, Michael, where it's like it's an age thing. Like my parents are kind of into the royals, whereas most of the people I know can't stand them. So it's kind of a generational thing, really. Most university students aren't, don't like the royals and aren't really. It's not really their thing, It's
interesting.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, the Crown has probably actually done quite a lot to help them, in terms of. Public perception. We've had quite a few kind of interesting documentaries on TV over here where the Queen hasn't come off very well, like where she's seen. There was one where there was a nice old man with his kid who just happened to be walking down a public right of way, and her face, the contempt in her face was just like, get rid of him. It's just like he was dirt to her. So everybody knows that the royal family just look down the nose at us. It's
because I've always heard that here in the U.S. we tend to treat our Hollywood actors a lot similar to you guys in the UK with the royal family, and that's the only reason I asked that.
Yeah, I mean it varies. I mean, like on film sets, you quite often work with a lot of military guys, and generally a lot of military guys are very very pro royal. So it's a there is a bit of a cultural divide too. It's not everybody that young doesn't like them, but yeah, I mean. They blow hot and cold on them in the newspapers as well, so that doesn't help.
Right.
Yeah, but my parents' generation, nobody would say a bad thing about them ever, but my generation's very different. So
Well, and right now you got all kinds of crazy things going on with the family, and
yeah. I mean, who would have guessed it? It's it's crazy. It's
Okay,
nuts.
we're not here to talk about the Royals. So
That's a whole
Other
other
show. I like The Crown
podcast.
is good. I like that.
Oh my gosh, I love The Crown.
Yeah.
My
Yeah,
wife,
you're right.
I watched the first season with my wife, loved it,
Yeah.
and then when it changed, the actress,
Yeah.
the older one, I was like, okay, well, I gotta stay, but honey, I need to go get some other stuff done, kind of thing. And I tell you
Right.
what, she binge watched the rest of the whole season
Really?
up to date in
Wow.
that whole weekend. It was just amazing. So she loves it. So she absolutely adores it.
And just so you know, Stephen, some of the actors came over from Doctor Who, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's one of the problems I have with watching TV shows is because it's, even though we're in a small island, and obviously London is what, maybe 40 miles across or something. So it's one of these things where it's quite a cliquey industry, and we all kind of cross paths with each other over and over again on different projects. So even though a lot of us are freelancers, we're kind of coming in and coming out of things. It's almost impossible for us to watch TV now and not kind of go either, oh, I work with them, or oh, my friend worked with them, or there's my friend. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like whatever project it is, we know somebody who's either behind the scenes or in front of the camera. It's like, so it does colour your enjoyment of things. You do find yourself maybe liking a thing more because you know who's in it. Or
sure.
Do you
So
know
it's
what I mean?
not like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's 3 degrees of Paul Bateman is what we're saying.
Well, we've met George Lucas a bunch of times, and now I think it's 2 degrees to just about everybody, isn't it?
Right.
So,
Wow,
or 1 degree or something. I don't know. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Right.
Mm.
All right,
Oh,
well,
goodness.
let's step up to the virtual coffee table. Everybody got something to drink. It looks like Paul's got some coffee there. I'm actually drinking a Christmas blend coffee still.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm doing my
Hopefully.
caffeine energy drink that if you're watching
That's
by
very
video, it's showing you can see through it because it's green
Cool.
for my green screen. So
Stephen has an
off soda.
invisible.
Do what?
Go ahead. I said you have an invisible drink.
I do have an invisible drink. So
it's like somebody's like green milk. Are we talking the last Jedi milk?
Right.
Sacrilege.
Very nice.
All right, that's funny. All right, Mike, go ahead.
All right. Well, let's get into some Zack Snyder cut Justice League. Yeah.
Now, can I just say this? So, Paul, I just want you to know that Mike made us wait to talk about this until we got a chance to talk with you about it. So we are chomping at the bit just to have this discussion. So
you know what's going to happen now is you guys are just going to talk for an hour and I'm not going to say anything. You'll be like, well, why did we just talk about it?
Right.
No, I've heard you on RFR. I know better than that.
Yeah,
it's going to be once we get you going, we may have to try to stop and jump in.
It's fine. You have, as fellow podcasters, you have my complete permission to tell me to shut up. It's not a problem. I'm quite used to it.
No, we wouldn't ever tell him to shut up. I might tell Steven to shut up, but I wouldn't tell him.
All right.
Right.
So I personally think that the Zack Snyder cut was a huge improvement over the Joss Whedon thing that we got. I'm sorry, that was a mess. We got so much story in this. We got character development in this. Like little character featurettes that were just in it that could have been, like a separate TV episode. Honestly, I was so much happier with this, and I just hope and pray that we get a sequel to it, but we'll see where it goes.
All right. So I did like it much better than the first one, or the I don't know. Should we call it the original or the first one, or do we call it the Whedon cut? I mean, I don't know what the etiquette is or something like that, but either way, I did like it much better.
Train wreck.
Well, I can't see that. I mean, it was okay.
Yeah, there were some good points to it, but
there were. I think obviously I think there's a difference between 2 hours and then moving to, or 2.5 hours, whatever it was, to 4 hours. Obviously, you do get more time to tell the story, but I will say it did fix a lot of holes for me in the first one, in the Whedon cut. I guess we'll just say Whedon cut versus Snyder cut. So overall, yes, I liked it much better, much more better there, kind of a thing. But I thought it was, I just fabulous. My wife is patient with me, so to watch superhero movies with me and stuff. And even she said at the end of it, she goes, "That was great." Kind of a thing. So, all right, Paul, your turn. What did you think? Overall, what did you think about it?
I think the Joss Whedon version is so much better. Kidding.
He stirred it.
Kidding.
Yeah, and he loves The Last Jedi too.
Yeah, right. No, same as you guys. Loved it. I mean, I'm not a huge Zack Snyder fan. I mean, I love 300. Liked Watchmen, even though I'm a massive Watchmen comic fan.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay.
But so I wasn't I wasn't a huge fan of Man of Steel, although I like Cavill. And I didn't like Batman v Superman, so my expectations are actually quite low. But 4 hours through it and wasn't bored, enjoyed it, liked all the characterization. Of Snyder's superhero movies, I would have said this was, for me, it was the most enjoyable. Love Wonder Woman in the first movie, liked her in the second movie, but this one was a real, had its high points. I love the way she was portrayed in this and everything. So yeah, it was a total win for me, really. I mean, and initially going into it, I was like, who needs 4 hours to tell a Justice League movie? It felt a bit self-indulgent. Right. I was talking to a producer friend of mine, and he was like, "Have you seen it yet?" And I was like, "Not yet." And he was like, 4 hours.
Right. And, now, had that producer seen it yet, or no?
Yeah, he had, but I mean, he's in the business, so he's one of those guys that's he's looking at the numbers. He's like, "What?"
Oh, good call. Hours? Good call.
As an art director, I'm looking at it, kind of going, 4 hours. That's twice the design work. Great. Where he's like, 4 hours. That's twice the cost. That's a terrible thing. So totally different points of view, But I loved it.
Well, Warner Brothers did give I think Zach another $70 million to finish this up.
Yeah. So, I heard 100. Was it not 70? You reckon?
That's what I had heard. Maybe I'm.
Well, I don't know what the exchange is. So
yeah.
Versus 100.
Yeah.
Good point. I didn't think about that. I forget. We're talking to somebody across the pond. Maybe you heard that in pounds, and maybe that's different.
They were talking to dollars. So
okay.
Who knows? Yeah.
Of course, then again, today the pound might be worth more than the dollar. I don't know.
Yeah, unlikely, but yeah, we're getting close, aren't we? Yeah.
Right.
Well, we put out another stimulus package over here. You guys probably will be.
Right. Yep. That is true. That's true. So let me ask you this. You brought up something interesting. Let's start with this. You talked about Wonder Woman, how you liked the first one, second one. And so in this film, do you think I think they portrayed her as more, for lack of a better term, badass kind of a thing in this one.
I agree with that.
I didn't like the music change. Because it became repetitive. They did a music change because originally it was Hans Zimmer's score, and I love that score. Well, I really enjoy Hans Zimmer's music, but they changed it, and it was okay. It wasn't too bad. I actually liked it when it first started, when she first came into that whole scene with the guys with the bomb, and stuff. I'm like, and I love how they expanded that. And I was like, dude, that's Wonder Woman. I think my wife loved it as well. She loves Wonder Woman, so she's like, yeah.
Well, imagine what it's like for us, Stephen, because I'm half Greek and my partner's called Athena, so.
Okay.
we're very pro Wonder Woman, because when we see her, it's like, oh, it's the local girl,
Right.
So we're very.
I like that.
we're very pro Wonder Woman. Yeah. So
is Athena Amazonian then?
Well, she's half Greek, half Romany, which makes her kind of, as a friend of mine who has friends who are, similar genetics. They just went, ooh. Which is like, if never expect Athena to not have an opinion. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
That's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Right.
But no,
I am
we
a fan
loved
of that
it.
Wonder Woman.
We loved how she came across, and I mean, one of the things we both liked about her is the fact that her personality, the fact that she seems so unrelentingly kind of kind, that kindness is a large part of her virtue, and that seems to be something that's been lost in the wash quite a lot with many kind of cinematic heroes. So we just quite like that old fashioned aspect of it, that she's just a nice person, and it's maybe there are places where people sort of like, want to hurl when it gets a little sentimental, and she's talking to a little girl about you can be anything,
Right.
But I thought it was delivered with such, in such a sweet way that I kind of go,
I agree. Yeah.
I liked it.
It was like, here's this person's godlike power, and
Mhm.
but takes time for a child. Yeah, I agree. That was a great scene.
I love that scene. Although I did when that scene happened, my wife and I were watching it, and I looked at my wife. I go, "Yeah, she could be anything except for Wonder Woman." But
yeah. That's the same thing always occurs to me when watching Star Trek: The Next Generation. To go off at a slight tangent, but whenever you see that, and Picard's his main attitude is like, we just need to understand each other. We just need to communicate. Right. It can all be figured out. Now I've always been waiting for the episode of Star Trek Next Generation where they land on the planet where the aliens are, and they try and talk to a bunch of Geiger monsters. Hey, nice to meet you. Face huggers everywhere. Next thing you know, all dead.
Yeah, that is a good thing. That's a good point about Star Trek. I love Next Generation. Love Next Generation. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
And yeah, especially that one. There was one episode. Oh, what was it called? Where they were talking in metaphors. That they're trying to communicate the other ones, and they always
what was it called? The Darmok. Was it Darmok? Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, but you're right. The whole aspect of communication. So, okay. Oops, sorry, Mike. I'm squirreling off. My bad.
Oh, that was my fault. I did the next gen thing. Yeah.
No problem. So we all like Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was a great character. And I absolutely love the whole blocking the bullets stuff. That was a fantastic scene. That was so good. And I do love her theme music.
Yeah. Are you talking about the original theme music, or are you talking about the new Zack Snyder theme music?
Her theme remains the same, but it's just the score's different, but her theme when it kicks in is the same music.
Right. And I'm talking about her theme.
Yep.
Yes.
The drums.
Agreed.
That's the one thing I think is missing from a lot of these modern superhero movies. We don't get distinct themes anymore. Like when go back to the 70s with the Christopher Reeve Superman. Everyone knew when Superman was coming on screen.
Dun, 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 dun. Right.
And they and they gave that to Wonder Woman, and I really liked that. That was one of the things that I really liked about it.
Don't you feel that Superman has a theme too now? I think the rest the rest are vague, but
I'd say Superman's is pretty distinct also. But I think Wonder Woman's is most distinct out of them all, at least in right.
No,
it's gutsy, really, isn't it? Try and do their own Superman theme, really, after Williams. It's
right.
It's kind of gutsy, really, isn't it?
That's sure.
We'll do our own theme that will be better than Williams's theme.
Nobody does better than Williams.
That's right. No. That's good.
Although you got to admit, Danny Elfman with the Batman theme from the '89.
I hate Elfman's music. He goes in the circus. He goes in the circus too quickly. It's like, what is that? It's just, oh no.
So you're not a fan of Elfman, huh?
No, not at all. I mean, I have to be honest. When Batman came out, I liked it, like the theme itself. But as soon as you start slipping into circus, it drives me crazy. Yeah.
Right.
See the '89 soundtrack, the orchestral soundtrack. Man, I still listen to that to this day. I love it. Yeah, that's one of my favorite soundtracks, actually.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think I could listen to the Justice League soundtrack on its own.
No.
It's not that type of. again, that's the modern soundtracks of these superhero movies. They just don't have the thematics that like Superman did or Star Wars did, you know. And to me, that's a little disappointing. But some of the stuff they did worked really well with the scenes. It's just I can't listen to it on its own. That's
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Paul, being just an incredible artist that you are, you mentioned earlier that with Zack Snyder and Zack Snyder's films, you know your opinion on that. I have heard people say that with his films, you know, he writes like a comic book, or you know, he frames everything like a comic book.
Oh yeah.
Has that been your impression of his films, or is it just stylistically, or is that some of the reason why some of it you're like, you know, some of his style is okay or not?
Snyder, or say Snyder?
Snyder. Mm-hmm.
Snyder's.
I've heard people say that. And I see some framing, but I'm not a movie guy, so I don't live and breathe that world. But you know, I've enjoyed his movies. This movie has been the only one I've enjoyed the story the most out of all of his films.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like it's one of those things where, like a lot of it's you know, because I started out doing comic books as a kid and stuff like that. You know, I did a lot of that, and I have a lot of friends in the industry and stuff. But so for me, like comic books, especially as a European, you know, comics are a very broad tableau of styles and approaches. So for me, that's a bit like sort of saying, don't you think it's very like art? You know, we have
call. Thank you.
We have painted strips at one end and we have Snoopy at the other. You know, and then like every style in between. So, but I mean, it's not an unfair thing to ask, Stephen. I mean, it's like I don't mean to knock you, but because there's plenty of people in Hollywood who think the same way. Who are thinking like, does this have a comic book look? You know, so I think especially for non-comic book readers, there's very much an idea of what a comic book movie should look like that looks like a comic. You know, and generally it seems to be Dutch angles and putting things at a slant and stuff in the 80s was the thing. You know, where you got all these kind of crooked. Sorry, I got light my these crooked kind of cameras at a wonk. You know, but I think for Snyder, I think his stuff tends to have quite a comic book cover look. You know, like there's a lot of moments where you kind of, you know, when you see kind of Superman pulling across, you know, above the earth, or these other kind of iconic moments, or like Wonder Woman at the top of Justice, you know, holding onto the sword and stuff. Those are very much kind of, you know, pin-up moments. So they're kind of like the poster in a comic or a cover of a comic, you know. So I think there's a lot of that in JLA. I mean, what makes me laugh too is, you know, having spent so much time on set, I'm very aware of like the moment without the music, right? So you know the shot when I think toward the end, I think in about half an hour from the end, when they're all standing in a line, and there's
it all slows down to that moment.
Yeah, take music out of it and everything else. Like what you've basically got is you've got 6 people standing around, kind of just standing there, for no good reason, and nobody kind of goes, "What are we doing? Like, why are we standing there?" Or you know, like it's just like, let's just stand here for 5 minutes.
You gotta have the you gotta have the heroic pose and the look.
Like nobody's picking their nose or scratching the butt or anything, are they? You know, it's just all like and pose.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Painfully. Yeah.
Now I want to see the Paul Bateman cut.
No, you really don't. Yeah.
No, you don't. That's funny.
I'm the worst person to go to the movies with, Michael. It's terrible. I mean, I, like you know the what's it called, the seventh. What's the thing about the kid that can see dead people?
Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense. I was getting confused. Like all that guy's movies, I always figure it out in 5 minutes flat. In Sixth Sense, I went, they're all dead, and like Thin was like, how do you know? It's the framing. Nobody's making eye contact. He hasn't spoken yet. I just can't ignore it. You know, I noticed it straight away. And the same thing went for The Village. I was like, no, that's modern.
The one. That's
you know, it's like don't go and watch a movie with Bateman because he'll spoil it in 5 minutes. If there's
dang, now you make me feel dumb.
No, man, that's my job. You know, so like, don't feel dumb. I'm paid to notice that stuff because otherwise later on I'll get a clip around the ear. You know, like why don't you notice we're wearing modern shoes or. You know,
yeah, because I don't think I caught on in The Sixth Sense until close to the end. is when I started catching on. Wait a minute. Yeah, they're all dead. He's dead.
I think most people missed it, didn't they? Most people didn't
missed
notice,
it.
You know?
I didn't catch it until the ring. She dropped the ring at the end.
Right.
That's So I wasn't astute enough to figure it out, but I wasn't trying to. I was just enjoying the movie and following along, and then the twist came and stuff. Yeah.
I wish you could disconnect. That's why I have such a problem with The Last Jedi. It's like every 1 minute I'm like going, wait, you know, like, and that happened for like 120 minutes. I was going, wait. Non-stop, you know.
Awesome. That may be a good follow-up discussion on Last Jedi.
Yeah, I'll just be me moaning for it. This is a short version. You can just stretch it out. I just go, and then just stretch it for 2 hours. That's me talking about The Last Jedi. That's pretty much it.
You kind of sounded like you're on the toilet there for a second.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pretty much.
Okay. We've done
back.
episodes on Last Jedi, so
yeah, we already did. That's true. That's true. We're coming back to talk about it again. No, I'm just kidding.
Steven and I feel pretty close to the same as you, Paul, on Last Jedi. We're not the biggest fans of that movie.
But I refer to it as a film that shall not be named. Generally, you know,
they should not be named.
Starring Jake Skywalker.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I want to get back. All right. I'm sorry, I'm failing at my duties. I'm supposed to always get us back on track.
Yeah, this is your job to get us back on track.
I know. We say that like every other episode.
Nothing. I've got nothing to do with it.
Right. Oh my goodness. So something else that just popped in my mind. I heard that again, this is probably a stylistic thing that Zack Snyder does. I heard somebody actually counted up 10% of that movie is in slow motion. So
I don't think it's that high, but yeah, there's a lot, isn't there?
There's a lot. Now, I like the slow motion kind of stuff, like how I enjoyed, like you were talking about the one scene where they're all lined up and it slows down, then you see, and then it picks back up again. I'm like, oh, that was cool. That's it. And I guess that's that comic book cover moment. So I enjoy the clarification on that. That helps me. So,
if we didn't have all the slow-mo, the movie would have been about 15, 20 minutes shorter.
Right. I'm thinking.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Sorry.
I like it. I mean, it's strange, isn't it? It's an indulgence, but I think once you get into it, I mean, I think you can either go with it or not, and it's like there are so many moments when you watch it and just kind of go, no, that is cool to see that slow, because I mean, the thing about, you open a comic book up and you get a double page spread of all the Avengers, say, flying through the air, and without that,
right.
I mean, as a kid, you'd look at that page for 5 minutes, you're going to really take it in and going to go, look, cool, and take it all in. And I kind of feel that's what Zack Snyder does when he's directing. He kind of stops it for a minute and goes, check this out.
Yeah, you're right.
like rather than just like banging through it.
Right.
Yeah, I think Zach is a very visual director. He wants those artistic pieces.
Yeah.
Like even Steven, you mentioned, that sounded funny. You mentioned in one of our other episodes the fact that in the, I don't know if we got the exact same scene in this cut, but in the Joss Whedon cut, we got the scene with the lightning bolt above Batman that looked like the Dark Knight cover.
That was Batman versus Superman.
Oh, okay.
It was,
but that's also a Snyder film too.
It is.
So yeah, you had that same moment, and it's just like you said, Paul. You could almost freeze frame that scene, and you're seeing the cover of Dark Knight.
Yeah. I mean, they talk about like Frank Miller. Like when Frank Miller, I chatted to. We used to have a comic convention in the UK called the UK Comic Art Convention, and it was funny because some years, because this is before we're talking about the US comic conventions and stuff, the big ones, it was a very different affair, very small. Quite often you get more guests than you get attendees because it was badly publicized and stuff like that. So I remember back in the 80s chatting to Frank Miller for ages about pacing, and he was talking about the if you look at his comics, he'll almost speed things up by dropping in lots of squares. There's all these tiny little squares that are kind of breaking a moment down, and it's almost like going into slow motion, because you've got a lot going off, and there may be a clock in there just to kind of clarify this is the the duration of this page is like a minute or whatever. But then when it goes to the double page spread, it's kind of like a pause, you know, a moment for you to kind of go, you know, like a big moment. And I think that's all that Zach's doing, is these huge literal pauses. You know, this is a double page spread, you know.
Right.
But then that theory kind of falls down when it comes to things like, you know, there are other moments where he just wants you to read a thing. It's like he wants you to notice that this has happened, you know. And some films kind of fall down because they don't stop enough for you to kind of go, wait, what was that? You know, but he'll never miss a moment where there's a point that you've got to notice. So I think one of the reasons this film read so well as a 4-hour film is that he, you know, when you really need to pay attention to a thing, he makes sure you never miss it. You know, where other directors just seem to be one pace, constant, burning through it. And if you're unlucky, you know, you blink or you look away at the wrong moment and you miss something important, you know. But that never happens with Zach. I mean, you could go to the bathroom and come back again, and it's the same shot, you know. Definitely not going to miss it.
Oh, good. I didn't miss anything while I went and got my M&Ms.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, you know, just thinking about, you know, we're a new Netflix binge watch society kind of thing. Do you, you know, you're talking about the producer, oh man, 4 hours, you know, how much is the cost of that? But we're seeing people are starting to engage in just sitting and watching longer now, because I guess we're at home, or that whole binge aspect. I noticed that in the film, in the Zack Snyder cut, he cut it into parts. Do you think that's part of understanding that there's this kind of, we're in a transition of people going to the theater for only 2 hours, but now watching stuff at home and willing to watch longer?
I think it's just kind of long form. It's a little bit like, you know, putting paragraphs in a sentence, in an email or something, isn't it? If you have no paragraphs, it's going to be a real drag, you know, getting through it. Wait, what? You know, and whereas this, I also feel like tonally he shifts a few times, you know, where it's like it starts out quite solemn, you know, because obviously you feel like he's coming from a place where he's very much kind of remembering what happened to his daughter and stuff, and then it gradually transitions into something that's a bit more fun, you know, as it progresses. So for me, it kind of felt like a useful kind of, okay, you don't necessarily expect it to be just like the last half hour, you know, expect things to be different now, or shift your focus, you know. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I suppose it works differently for different people and depends on who's watching it, you know. But I mean, you can never assume anything about this kind of stuff. I remember Ridley Scott was talking about, I think he did Black Rain years ago, Michael Douglas, sorry. And he was saying that there was a moment in that where the audience was meant to react with like a, oh God, can you believe they killed that character? But instead the audience went, yeah, and it was like, that is not the reaction he was looking for, and not the reaction he set up for the last half an hour or so, you know. So sometimes I think directors do have a tendency to not risk that and just going to spell it out for you, like this is about this now. Stop thinking about that, you know, or we're going to have a change of gear, you know, because what works for a Flash story is not necessarily what's going to work for a Batman story. I mean, there's such different characters, aren't they? You know, that maybe you do need a bit of a shift. You know, it can work when they're together and the kind of clashing. I mean, have you guys been keeping up with Falcon and Winter Soldier? Have you been watching that?
I have not watched episode 2 yet. So
yeah, I've only watched episode 1. I like what I've seen so far, though. It's been really good.
2 is kind of gearing up the buddy cop, you know, Lethal Weapon thing a little bit more.
Oh, excellent!
Cool.
And it works, you know. So I won't give you any spoilers, but I mean, but when you get those contrasting characters, it can really work. But if you don't want to isolate those 2 characters out of a group of 6, you know, your hands are tied what you can kind of do. So for me, it felt like it's almost like watching 3 different films or something, you know, like even though they're all connected, it felt like, you know, but at the same time, it all held together so well, didn't it? And you never felt like, oh, this is just Wonder Woman. This is just, you know.
Well, we introduced 2 characters that we didn't have any backstory on, and that was 3 actually, because we hadn't had Aquaman yet at the time, but Cyborg and the Flash. Well, I mean, you know the characters, but in the film, in the whole whatever I'm saying, the DC universe kind of a thing in the films, we didn't have anything of those, and they were so quickly introduced in the original in the Whedon cut that we didn't get. I think that's what made this one good. Like you said, it's almost watching a whole nother film. Man, we got Cyborg's backstory. We got more understanding of who he is and why he was angry with his dad, and then seeing that relationship mend in the epilogue. You know, how they handled that was really good. The Flash had more to do. It wasn't just
Iris West.
Huh?
We had Iris West. We got the introduction of Iris, which will hopefully, I mean, if Warner Brothers is smart, they'll continue off of this and we'll get the Flashpoint movie.
Right.
And yeah, that just said everything you saw with the Flash set up the Flashpoint movie.
Well, it gave his background, but also it gave him more. I mean, I love the fact. Okay, spoiler alert! If you have not watched this yet, I loved how he had such an incredible ending, or not ending, but a part in the end. In the Whedon cut, it's like I'm pushing some people out on a truck, you know. But in this one, he has such an important part, you know, and all that he did was like, yeah. So I understand what you're saying with looks like, yes, we've got some extra parts of a movies that are coming together, but I do think he blended it really well for those last two sections of the Snyder Cut of Justice League.
Now you brought up that scene of him pushing the vehicle. Did anyone even miss that scene in the Snyder Cut?
I did not miss that scene.
Me neither.
Only because he gave him so much more as a part of the team. Like everybody had their moment to shine at the end.
Well, it just proves that scene was a waste. It was just a total waste. There was no point in that scene whatsoever.
I think it was humor. I think it was the humor because as he was pushing it, you know, here comes, you know, the Flash is trying to get people out one by one or do, you know, the thing. And here comes Superman with a big old, you know, in the Whedon cut with the big old apartment complex and kind of thing show off. But I think that's part of Whedon's signature, trying to bring humor into it. But I agree with you. I liked Zack Snyder's version much better for the end.
Me too.
I feel as though that, you know, where they went wrong was, I mean, you can understand. I've worked for Warner's before, so I know what they're like as a company to work for. And it's difficult because I think there are certain productions that feel very kind of driven by the suits to be blunt about it, you know, and there are other projects where you feel like it's really happening because of the creative spirits that are involved in it and respect for the craft and understanding that like quality craftsmanship, quality creativity leads to more money, you know. But for me, the Whedon version of it felt like an exercise in bean counting, where somebody at some point probably went, we need this to feel more like a Marvel movie, you know, we want this to do kind of Avengers style numbers. But then at the same time, the pantheon of characters is just not the same. And I mean, I use the word pantheon like intentionally, whereas I think that you get a tableau of Marvel characters and it's basically a bunch of human beings that have, you know, have got powers. But you look at the DC thing and it's much more of an exercise in kind of, you know, gods at play, you know. So it's kind of one of those things where they've gone beyond people. I mean, you know, Superman is basically Apollo, he's a sun god, you know, and you know, Aquaman's basically Poseidon, you know. So they're all these different kind of, you know, archetypal kind of characters that kind of go beyond people. The thing that's kind of quirky though is that you do have things like Flash, but even he's like Ajax or you know, another Mercury or Hermes or but so there's that element. And I think where this film succeeded the most was the fact that I did start to feel like that we're watching these kind of godlike characters kind of at play, you know? And that was when I finally went, this is starting to really work and play on its strengths rather than to be what Marvel is. And I think that lightness of touch, you know, we kind of require it as a modern audience. We require a bit of a laugh, especially at the moment. We don't want to be sitting in 4 hours of grimness, you know.
But
at the same time, we don't mind a painting that's kind of catastrophic and dark and turbulent and tumultuous and all that. So for me, it was interesting. I mean, because I'm not like you know, you look at Aquaman and stuff, and you know, I wasn't crazy about the Aquaman movie. I thought it was okay and everything, and I find Jason Momoa very charismatic, and you know, but previous to his interpretation of his character, my idea of Aquaman has very much been like the Robot Chicken version.
Oh,
you know,
boy.
just kind of like
Oh boy,
a guy that talks to fishes, whoopie doo, you know. So I like the fact that Momoa's brought this, you know, this kind of badass quality to it. I like what he brings. You know, there's a humor in it. You know, and the fact that he's and there's almost like what's nice too is there's almost like kind of an ecological aspect to it that's not hitting you over the head. You know, because it's got this kind of whole attitude of like I'm very much into Taoist philosophy, like it's a Chinese philosophy, and one of the things that they talk about a lot is just about, you know, kind of respecting nature, you know, and you feel like that's where he's about. You know, he's not about save the whale, but he's like, you're an idiot. The storm's going to be bad. It's going to wipe you out and kill you. You know, like respect what nature is and don't expect it to be something that it's not. And I like that aspect of his personality. I thought that was funny. You know, where he just kind of rolls in and says the drinks are on him, you know, whatever. You know,
I love that scene.
I loved all that. He made the character so much more than, for me, it's been in the comic books. But
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Michael. Sorry.
I was just going to say, you know how you brought up the whole eco-friendly aspect of Aquaman, and I do believe that's pretty much been in Aquaman's origin from day one, honestly.
Yeah.
But I found it funny, and I looked at my wife while we were watching it. You know, he goes in, he gets the whiskey, and then he goes back out on that concrete pier. And what's he do? He throws the whiskey bottle and busts it in the ocean. I'm like, so much for eco-friendly, huh?
Right.
The waves will destroy that glass and blink. You know?
I was more upset that he didn't finish everything in the bottle.
Yeah.
There's still some more whiskey in that bottle.
What made me laugh was the number of shirts he must go through, because it's just like constantly just ripping his shirt off. I mean, he must have a wardrobe full of like 200,000 t-shirts, you know. And he can't do anything with like going, oh my god, look at my pecs.
Right.
You know, like you know, and I mean, like if you're his mate, you'd soon get annoyed with it, wouldn't you? You'd be like, can you just not keep taking your shirt off, like, can you not just take it off?
I don't know. If I was built like Jason Momoa, I think I'd rip my shirt off.
Yeah. It's pure jealousy, Michael. But you know, and it's fun to watch. I mean, it's the whole kind of like walking out the pier when the water's torrential and everything. It's like, maybe wait till the weather dies down a bit and just, you know, just get in the water. But no, it's got to be massively dramatic, hasn't it?
Right.
You know,
in slow-mo, we get a little slow-mo with that too.
Or singing some lament to his passing and stuff. What was that about? That was the strange one.
Oh yeah, I wrote that down. I didn't understand that. Were the, I don't know if was it just women or was it like the entire village?
So I think that he's got some weird kind of sex cult going on that island. I think they're all sad about him leaving. There's definitely something going on there.
I didn't know if they were worshiping him like he's a god, or I didn't know what was going on.
I only took it as, you know, he's become part of that culture. And I'm like, once you know, he comes in the Evetide or whatever that Bruce Wayne Batman was saying about it, that character. And I thought, oh, this must be their closing song. Okay, see you next year or something.
But then she smells his sweater.
Right.
Yeah. That was weird.
I was unaware of the guys that they've obviously gone like, let's all say goodbye, and the guys are like, yeah, whatever.
One
by one, all the women leave the bar. They're all like, yeah, I'm just gonna, like, Helen's going, so you know, if I don't go, it'd be rude. And there's no women in the bar at all.
Right.
What's going on?
Well, of course the guys in the village don't like him. He comes in, drinks all their booze. All the women are interested in him. So I wouldn't like him either.
He's a foot taller than everybody. He works out. I mean, they're all fishermen. They should be buff as anything, you know, from working hard and all that. But the stature's probably more like ours. Well, mine. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Definitely got a desk job.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I like the way he looked, and I liked the and it was nice to see the Flash and Cyborg in this. And like you say, I think the character development was much better, and it was interesting to see where it went. I think the designer in me tends to step up and kind of go, like, I really don't like the way the Flash and Cyborg look. But
I think I agree with you. When the first cut came out, I didn't care for the Flash's costume very much at all.
Yeah.
And I don't like I didn't like the way that Ezra Miller runs. I think he looks.
Yeah.
It's odd, isn't it? It's kind of goofy.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's like he's got chewing gum stuck to his feet or something like.
Right.
I don't know.
Ew, what is that?
Yeah.
But I think they did improve on it in the Zack Snyder cut by adding the special effects to it. I think it looked better. It's still not perfect. I like Grant Gustin's style of running in the TV series much better. I think his costume looks a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I do think that the costume's grown on me. It's just not my favorite version. That's all.
I think like for me, I looked at Cyborg and went like,
oh
yeah. Oh, it's one of these situations where kind of like sometimes as a designer, you work on projects where a little inside baseball trick for you that a lot of designers do, which is basically what we tend to do, is the early sort of blue sky stages of things where anything kind of goes, but the director has given you some kind of a brief. What you'll get is they'll kind of go, give me half a dozen things to look at just to get us in the right direction,
Okay. Yeah.
And what you tend to do is, you think about it on your own for a while. You sit and sketch on a sketch pad or whatever, and you doodle away before you even show anybody anything. And then out of that kind of brainstorming, you'll think of, a handful of ideas that you think are worth rendering up. And what you tend to do is you do the one that you really love, the one that is exactly what the director asked for that maybe you're not too keen on, and then there's one in the middle, right?
Okay.
And so you're hoping for the one over there, but if you're unlucky, it'll actually be a middle ground that you don't like it and you don't hate it either. It's just kind of, and I get that feeling with this is that the Flash, I can see why you would sit down and make sense of that, but it doesn't read immediately. You just kind of what all these little elastic bands all over him, and it just looks messy, and for me, I think these characters are so iconic. You want it to be really clean and and clear and statuesque, and I don't think either of them have that quality. But at the same time, I was looking at Cyborg thinking, like as a designer, I look at it and kind of go, he could look so much cooler. But then at the same time, if you take the story, you look at it and you kind of go, yeah, but it's not meant to be like a good thing. I mean, this guy is not comfortable in this suit. I mean, it's him. It's not a costume, It's not meant to look cool. He's meant to be unpleasant for him, and he's meant to be having a bad time. So it kind of needs to look like he's, like a multiple amputee, it wasn't easy to go through this, So you can make him look like the Terminator, but that wouldn't really be, what the character is.
He does kind of have this monster-esque walk, when you see him walking. Yeah, it's almost like
he
a
struggles.
Yeah. I never really thought of it from that aspect.
I love that designer aspect. I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, I'm sitting there, my brain's processing the whole thing, going through. Oh yeah, okay.
Well, you want him to look cool, right? But the whole point is, if you look cool, the character will be going, "Wow, I look amazing. I feel great."
Right.
Look at me, you're like Mr. Robot Man,
kind of. I hate to say it, but he's kind of got a Transformers look, honestly.
Yes. Yeah.
Paul, have you ever watched Doom Patrol?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love Doom Patrol.
Now, how do you feel about Cyborg and Doom Patrol?
Well, he's a totally different character, isn't he? And I quite like the way it looks in Doom Patrol. I mean, it's certainly closer to how I would have treated it, but again, it's just for the story, which is meant to be our first priority. It tells the story better, but I don't know. I would have been tempted to have him kind of, maybe fiddling with the armor, or have like a start a movie suit and an end a movie suit, maybe.
Right.
So you see that transition.
That's kind of where I thought of Doom Patrol, because to me, I look at Doom Patrol. I'm a big Teen Titans fan from the 80s. I prefer the new Teen Titans from the 1980s, and Cyborg there. He had more of the look that they've given him in Doom Patrol TV series. And that's kind of what I wanted to see in the movie. But I like your take on that, where he could start off in the film something like that and then move towards what we've seen in the film. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Like I remember, was it Bruce Timm? From the animation days. And his wife was I think she was a clinical psychologist or something like that, and she had a lot to do with people who were dealing with various different issues to do with, like, being psychotic and all kinds of mental issues, that could quite likely lead them to, spending time in jail and stuff like that. So she influenced Bruce Timm's decision making when it came to kind of recreating a lot of the iconic Batman characters. And that she said, what you're actually saying there is probably quite a negative thing. The idea that in some way you're deformed by an event, like take the Joker, and then he becomes bad. Because really what you're saying is anybody with a deformity of any kind is a bad person, and that doesn't really stack up these days. Obviously we'd like to think we're all a bit more evolved than that, and that we treat everybody with respect and it doesn't matter what they look like. So she said, what you've got to establish right from the outset is these people are messed up before anything happens to them physically, so before they end up with green hair or turn into a crocodile, you need to make it really clear that's not why they are who they are, and so if you watch the cartoon, they're quite clear about that. It's like this person has,
there was already something
danger
innate within them.
Yeah.
And something was just a catalyst to break that free.
They weren't changed by the physicality. It may have been underlined perhaps, but it's not why.
Yeah.
And with this, I feel like that it's a bit like that with Cyborg in that, it's not meant to be a pleasant thing that's happened to him. And, he may rise above it like lots of people who lose limbs and stuff in life do. And it becomes totally irrelevant to them, or as irrelevant as it can be. So I think it kind of felt like that's the story they were telling. It felt like a war veteran or something to me. So yeah, it worked. But
that's a good way to look at that.
Maybe I'm overthinking it, but that's kind of my job.
well, you're the designer. You understand these things. This is your realm. You get it.
So now, Paul, you as a designer, how did you feel about the differences in the look of the film? We went from the Joss Whedon, much more bright, which is a lot of things that people complained about the Zack Snyder films to begin with, is that they're dark and gloomy, and that the Marvel films are all bright. And I have mixed emotions about it, but I want your take on that.
Okay. I'm going to take you off at a Star Wars tangent slightly first, then, just if that's all right.
Okay, let's do it.
Have you seen that documentary on how they designed General Grievous? Have you ever seen that?
Revenge.
There's a little short on it said like designing Grievous or something on the Revenge of the Sith extras. And there's a moment when they're all in the art department at Skywalker Ranch and somebody says, "What scares you, Ryan?" And he goes like, "Beetles, insects, maybe like the Alien, things without eyes and stuff like that, because you can't see it, and all that kind of stuff." And my partner Athena just fell about laughing listening to that documentary. I was like, "What?" And she was like, "They would have got a really different answer if you were in the room, wouldn't they?" because I'm the guy that they call to do the really messed up stuff quite often. It's like okay, let's ask Bateman for some weird ideas. And so for me it would have been like man's inhumanity to man, disease, all these things that are way too dark for Disney, so it'd be like,
right,
maybe don't go there. And so for the reason I'm mentioning that story is that I have a taste for the darker side of design. I do tend to like it when it leans in that direction. But like, because for me, Batman would be like 7 foot of roaring muscle and pitch black and, scary as anything, and is capably 400 foot long, But so for me, I like the darkness, even though, I don't know, I still take issue with the fact that Superman, he feels more like Superman to me in this because they gave him a few opportunities to smile at the end of the movie, and you felt like the good Superman was creeping through and stuff like that. You felt like, there he is. And that's what I've always wanted from Cavill's version. I wanted him to feel like a little bit more like the Reeve Superman, because I think he's got the ability to channel that kind of side of it, the nicer side of Supes. But yeah, I mean, the fact that you've got like a black Superman and a black Batman and and even Aquaman, his suit's quite dark,
right?
And it's not like a bright red Flash, and so yeah, all the colors are kind of toned down. But at the same time, if you go for all those poster colors, I mean, it could look a bit ridiculous, like it's like everything's too bright and zingy, and and I totally approve of them getting rid of the red Superman pants. I thought they were ridiculous for a long time, but I might be sacrilege to the hardcore Superman fans. But I don't know. How do you feel about it, Michael? You don't like it? You don't like this too dark?
No, I'm not saying I don't like it. Actually, I like the look of the Zack Snyder Justice League because I think it fits the tone of the film. The tone of the film is more of a apocalyptic. And I think it has to feel that way. And Marvel films don't tend to feel that way. They seem to be more bright colored and I guess hopeful in a way. But now I will admit one of my critiques of the Man of Steel film. See, I like the Man of Steel film. I think that was a very good film.
I thought it was good.
I think that was probably the best Superman we've gotten since Christopher Reeve, in my opinion.
Yeah.
However, I do like the new TV series Superman and Lois. I don't want to discount that, but I do think Henry Cavill is a better Superman than I don't know guy. I don't know the new guy's name.
The TV guy needs to shave. Like,
you're right.
Why is he 12 o'clock Shadow Man? I don't get it.
That's a critique. We'll have to get into that one sometime. But anyway, but one of my big critiques of the Man of Steel film is really the color of that one too, because in my opinion, Superman should be bright and hopeful. So I like your aspect of how you said that we got the smiling Superman at the end, the hopeful Superman. I like that, and I agree with that totally. But overall, I really like the color of the Snyder cut better, only because I think it fits the tone. Not that I think it's visually better or worse, just that it fits the tone.
Well, there's something to be said about lives, the cost of lives. Like when you watch the Avengers, you just see stuff blowing up and boom, or buildings falling down, kind of a thing. But in the Marvel world, but in DC, that was the catalyst. The end of Man of Steel.
Steven's going to start complaining about Batman killing people, Paul.
No, not right now. Not right now. No, but it is similar in the aspect that, look, you saw all the end of Man of Steel, the big fight with Zod. I mean, you saw people getting hurt. You saw people running, kind of thing. It wasn't just, we're just running away. You saw people getting wiped out and getting hurt. And that's how Batman versus Superman began, was Bruce Wayne running which was pretty awesome. Here he goes running in. I do like Ben Affleck as Batman. That's another story. So anyway, we're zooming in, and then, you see people getting hurt. You see that emotion. And even in this film, you saw a lot of people, with things happening, you saw people getting hurt, but you don't get that weight of people, it wasn't just, hey, buildings are falling. No, oh man, there's people getting hurt. I think there's something that makes it darker, is kind of my point between that. And the difference between with Zack Snyder, with the world that he's created in these films, is that cost of lives, which gives it that darker feeling.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with that.
I know I didn't go off about Batman killing people.
Well, obviously with a name like Bateman, you can probably imagine Batman was my nickname for years and years and years.
I didn't think about that.
And a lot of the UK kind of talent that went over to the States to do Batman comics and stuff, like Alan Grant, who I used to know through the comic conventions and stuff like that. We're all part of that. And I worked on The Dark Knight over here and stuff, so that was kind of freaky. But despite being a big Bat fan, for me, the Batman inside my head has never really kind of materialized on the cinema. I've always, this is actually physically, even though I wouldn't have said he'd be my pick to play him. I think physically in the bat suit, this is the closest anybody's got for me. I think like even in the Dark Knight trilogy, I kind of the voice kind of got on me a bit, and it felt a bit fake.
Right?
I'm Batman. Like, you just thought, does he always thought like that? It's like, pass me coffee. Do you know what I mean? After a while, it ceased to be intimidating and just seemed kind of daft, And obviously Keaton, although he had these amazing eyes and stuff, and clearly Batman was very popular, I just couldn't get past the fact he was really short, and I didn't think he looked like Bruce Wayne when he was out of the suit, So it's kind of strange, like I think visually I have my own version of, like Joker is a skinny psychotic, it's kind of the closest that I think, like, Joaquin got pretty close and physically for me, the Joker. But again, the smile needed to be more kind of like in my head. I think he's like a cross between Defoe and Joaquin. You know, I think some weird hybrid of those two actors. But the Dark Knight, I think himself. I think I've always felt like he needs to be this just ridiculous species of human being. He needs to be almost 7 foot, like this giant guy that you just think, holy cow. Because you think about how intimidating somebody has to be, turn up in a bat suit, not ever to go, look at the idiot in a bat suit. You know, you've got to be pretty intimidating to everybody in the room kind of go,
you mean to tell me you dress like a bat?
Right, yeah. But you know, you'd have to be really scary to kind of like just go, I'm not talking to that guy. It looks really nuts, you know.
Sure.
So they need this hard to find kind of like embodiment of like physically intimidating, and yet at the same time when that hood comes off, you got to believe he's like an entrepreneur and a genius and a, you know, like incredibly smart but not right in the head, you know. And I just haven't quite yet seen what I'm looking for, I think. But in this, I mean, I like that. It was a very Frank Miller-esque kind of suit, you know, the same as it's been in a couple of the other movies. And I like that.
Wait a minute. Let's go back. I'm curious of your Batman. If there was anybody you could say would be a great person to play that, I mean, because actors, my brain can visualize it. Or if you had to say, okay, obviously you're saying someone who's tall and intimidating.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. What else would make that Batman that's in your mind? Because I love Batman. I'm a big Batman fan.
I think all three of us are.
I guess like here's a weird example that might. I mean, I often do. I'll cast out of time, right? So I'll look at a thing and kind of go, oh, they should have played X, Y, Z.
Okay.
And for me, a really missed opportunity was. Do you remember Ron Ely from who played Tarzan like back in the 70s? Ron Ely, if you look him up.
Okay.
Like I always thought it was a really missed opportunity that never got him to play Flash Gordon because I think he was just like the Alex Raymond comic personified. This blonde white hair, built like a brick outhouse. Yeah. And yeah, very erudite, really smart guy, you know, and quite charming. But at the same time, there's a cornball quality to him that makes him quite funny. So he can kind of get away with those camp parts, you know. So he was my choice for Flash Gordon. So it's an odd spin, you know. It's like a guy in the last sort of 50 years that I kind of go him for Flash Gordon. And I'm not sure I've ever seen anybody that I kind of go that guy is Batman.
Okay.
Know? I mean, I don't know. I mean, the guy that did you see the recent fan film that they did called is it Killing is Easy or Dying is Easy? I think it's called.
No.
It's
I
like
don't think I've seen this.
It's like a 20-minute thing about basically Batman goes to see the Joker in Arkham Asylum. And it's just all big. You can find it easily on YouTube and stuff like that. But the guy in the suit has done a bunch of Bat fan fiction and stuff. He's done different Bat movies. And in the suit, he's bang on. But out of the suit, I think he looks like a bit of a thug to be Bruce, you know, like he hasn't quite got that the right look in the eyes, but physically he feels right, feels intimidating. But
he doesn't have the refined
it's a weird contradiction, you know. It's an odd, I don't know, maybe there's an actor out there I'll think of 5 minutes after we finish where I'll go, oh, that guy.
Right.
You know,
that's who I meant.
Well,
you know,
see what I did think of. Here's an interesting, sorry, Michael. Here's an interesting thought for you. I want to see what you guys think about this, because I mentioned this to Athena and she was like, oh, wait. Swap Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck over. Make Henry Batman. How do you think he would have been? If obviously now we look at him and we kind of go, he's Superman. But imagine Cavill in the Batsuit.
Steven's backgrounds right now because we got the backgrounds for the Justice League, and I'm trying to swap them.
Swap the faces. It's like, because imagine Cavill. You know how Cavill's playing it dark for Superman now. Just put a Batsuit on him.
Yeah,
you know, like that guy is Batman, and you can believe him as a sophisticated playboy. You know, he's got that kind of look about him, but he seems smart. But you know, when he turns on his dark side, there it is. That's the look that I'm looking for.
Gosh, yeah.
You know, so the dark side Superman, that's Batman for me.
That's totally going to be in my mind all day long.
Oh, right? Wow.
And I do like. I mean, I like the fact that they are still playing up the whole kind of Batman as a grouch thing. That does make me laugh. you know, because I think I am predisposed to be that way a bit myself. If it wasn't for Athena, I think I'd be very similar to him. I relate far too easily. I think maybe it's a name thing, you know. But
well, you know that I'm going to go back to I'm going to go back to The Last Jedi for just a second.
Right.
That is one of the things that I actually did like, even though it's not Luke Skywalker.
Right.
I kind of identified with Grumpy Luke, you know.
Oh, I hate Grumpy Luke. I hate Grumpy Luke.
No, I like the whole "get off my lawn," Luke.
Right.
Yeah. No comment.
Right.
I know that'll take us way.
First no comment of the day.
You're right.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So wait. So now what I'm wondering, can we get a Paul Bateman sketch of the Batman that's in Paul's head? That I want to see that. I want to see a sketch of the Batman that's in Paul's head.
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of them out there. You know, like Brayfogle was close. I think, you know, they're very jaggy. But I mean, the thing is like what works on film. You know, what works as a movie.
Sure.
You look at some of Brayfogle Batmans, and his cape's like 30 foot long. I mean, it'd be like Princess Diana,
right?
Wouldn't it be like Princess Di walking down the street with this great big massive cape? I mean, the baddies could just get hold of his cape and be done with him, couldn't they? You know,
right?
Feed him into a wood chipper or something.
How about the McFarlane version of Batman?
Yeah.
Those are pretty dark.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever read a comic book called Martial Law by Pat Mills? Have you ever heard of that? It's I recommend you check them out. They're kind of funny because it's Pat is not a fan of superhero comics. He writes very kind of, you know, quirky English comics. He was part of the whole Judge Dredd 2000 AD thing over here. You know, he's quite a significant writer. But he has a very twisted sense of humor. And DC actually asked him at one point, "Would you be interested in writing a superhero comic?" And he was like, "No." They would really like. It's like, "I know you would. I hate superheroes." And then he came up with an idea, and he was like, "Wait a minute, I might actually have an idea." And the idea was that all of the superheroes basically are corrupt for one reason or another because they've all got superpowers. And so there's this guy called Martial Law who's basically a cop for superheroes, and it's just like every issue was an excuse to just like ruin like a comic icon, and the last few pages are always Martial Law kicking 10 bells out of whoever it is, you know, dragging him and throwing him in the cell. But he did a thing called Public Eye, and it was basically his version of Batman, where it would ask all the questions nobody ever asks, like, how come you're this really rich guy and you keep like rescuing boys from orphanages? You know, like what's that about? You know, and like, how is everybody just okay with that? You know, like, you never seem to have a problem like adopting anybody, and like, what's all these massive donations you keep giving to the mayor? You know, like hush money, you know, and like he's going through Robins like that, you know, like every week it's like, oh, he had an accident, you know. Where is he? Yeah. And then it's like they're asking about his childhood, and it turns out that basically his version of Bruce Wayne, I mean, it's called Public Eye instead of Batman, you know. Right. But his version of Bruce Wayne basically killed his own parents because he couldn't wait for his inheritance. You know, and his version of Alfred couldn't stand his parents and was just like eager to get paid, you know. Right. So it's just like in with a kid, you know. So check out Martial Law. It takes a mickey out of all
I pulled
that
it up. Yeah.
That's not who wrote this. Recently, in the last couple of years, there was it's kind of a Superman movie, but it was like, what if Superman was
Brightburn?
Yeah, that's a JJ thing, isn't it? Yeah. No.
I didn't watch it. I've seen clips of it, and I'm like, oh, I don't think I could handle that. I
don't know if I want to watch it.
Was that James Gunn?
It's gloomy, guys. No, it's JJ, wasn't it? It's really gloomy.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
And I don't mind a dark movie, but the end of it, I was like, well, that was kind of depressing. It was like, if Superman was a kid, it'd be very dangerous and difficult to parent, you know, and he might be psychotic when he becomes a teenager. End of story. That's basically it. It's like, and the whole world would be screwed. You know?
I cannot handle movies where the bad guy wins in the end. I just can't handle it. It's just not. Yeah, it's not really what we need right now, is it? Either we need a bit of positivity, you know.
Oh, I agree with that. Yes.
Yeah. I was one of the reasons. One of the things I loved about this movie was that I loved the ending. You know, where they're excuse me, where they're polishing off Steppenwolf in front of Darkseid. But what's funny for me is it's almost like if you imagine like a door just opening, like, And the first time he sees all these superheroes, they're absolutely kicking the heck out of his top lieutenant.
Right.
But they're like, kill him, cut his head off, kick his head through the doorway. And, you know what I mean? It's like, wait, what? And then you can tell they're just like, we'll come back later. Close the door. You know, so the ending was funny as anything if you look at it that way. It's like, wait, what's going on
let's
with
just
these
shut
people?
this door.
Shut this door for now. Yeah.
And a lot of people have said about Darkseid, like, how does he not remember where the equation is, right? And I was thinking, sure doesn't remember. He's like going, oh yeah, I totally nearly won. We nearly had him, but like, should we go back now then, Darkseid? No, later. Go back in a bit, and I can totally have him. You know, like thousands of years later, he's like, I wonder if that lot have died yet. You know,
right.
I think that's what it was. I think he didn't forget.
I love it.
I love how you think of movies. I love how you process. I mean, just the different perspective. Even, you know, the way you figure out movies. I mean, of course, that's your realm. You've interacted with that. I mean, and stuff. But oh my goodness, yeah,
that's a design mind of his that's working.
Yeah, you would be great at plot holes. Talking about plot holes in films like that.
Well, it's the figuring the reality of it out. It's like all we can do is kind of connect it back to a normal life, and that's quite that immediately leads to humor. I think whenever you think about anything superhero like, because our lives are so different from what these people are going through, aren't they? You know. But I liked you know, you were talking about the Flash's introduction and stuff. You know, I think it's quite interesting that some people seem to have been offended by the fact that he's observing her while she's kind of, you know, falling and stuff, and there's something kind of voyeuristic about it. But I thought it was
I haven't heard that critique of it.
Yeah, well, you know, people on Twitter just find the excuse to complain about everything these days.
Oh, yeah, good call.
Well, Twitter's a hive of scum and villainy anyway. So.
Sure is, yeah. but I mean, the fact that she was outside kind of checking him out for ages, I thought gave him like carte blanche to check her out back. You know,
right? He got permission.
It's reciprocal. It's reciprocal. You know, she clearly likes him. You know,
right?
But
yeah.
I didn't know where it was going. I wonder where it was going with all the hot dogs. Though I was like, wait a minute, what's with the hot dogs?
Right.
But it worked. It worked great. I love the hot dog thing. Yeah, when he first grabbed it,
made it work. It's really romantic. I thought, you know,
right?
Not the hot dog bit in particular, but you know, the rest of it.
Yeah, not the hot dog bit, but saving her life, right?
Yeah.
Well, when he first grabbed the hot dog, I was thinking the whole, you know, honestly, they've combined the Barry Allen and the Wally West Flash, and as a Flash fan, that bugs me a little bit, but I can deal with it. It's okay. But I thought they were going with the whole thing of, you know, Flash needs to eat to keep his energy up and stuff. So he's grabbing a hot dog so he can, you know, wolf that down, you know. But then we see the scene with the dogs, and I was like, oh, well, that's great. That was a great way to do it. And it made it humorous, you know. And I see Barry Allen. I have some issues with this Barry Allen, but that worked on the comedic level. That was good. I have an issue with the whole I need friends. I don't have any friends. That's not the Barry Allen of the comic books.
It's a bit knocking the geeks too, isn't it? You know, kind of there's an element of that. I mean, I almost feel like Ryan Reynolds in his 20s would have been good. You know, like because he has that smart lippy. Maybe I don't know. I mean, Deadpool is so consummately him now. It's
right. That's so true.
Yeah, it's hard to separate Ryan Reynolds from Deadpool at this point. Yeah,
I do like this play swap around. You know, I'm like, because I mean, even looking at, you know, Aquaman, thinking, what would Momoa look like in a bat suit? You know, but I'm not sure he could sell the kind of, you know, uber intellectual kind of aspects of the character.
I was watching a YouTube channel, and somebody actually compared Aquaman to Lobo. And as soon as they said that, I was like, holy crap, he would be a great Lobo. Yeah. So
did you see the Lobo in the TV show? What was it called? The Krypton.
Krypton. Yeah. My only issue with him, I didn't think he was big enough. And Jason's size, he's perfect. Yeah, he's perfect. So as much as I like him as Aquaman, now I look at him going, oh crap, I think I would have rather had him Lobo.
Yeah, and Henry's Batman. I'm telling you, Henry would have been made a better Batman. But then I don't know. I don't know, you put in a Superman suit, you know, it has to be somebody a little squeaky clean, isn't it? You know, I mean, as a non-native, you know, as a non-US person, you know, I think that it's difficult, you know, like, because it's one of those things where there's you know, in the same way that there's a cliched kind of version of a Brit that doesn't really resemble the reality of what most British people are. And there's many cliched ideas about what Americans are, normally fabricated by people who've never met an American.
You mean like Brits, all Brits being Bond villains?
Yeah, or intellectual, or common as muck. You know, cool, blimey, governor. You know, or living in a foggy street. You know, but
and all of us Americans being cowboys.
Something like that, yeah. Well, got a camera, you know. That's another cliche, isn't it? As a tourist, but I think Superman has a chance to kind of to emblemize, like, kind of, you know, like a really positive idea that I think a lot of people have about America too, which is that the more upbeat side of, you know, American culture, the fact that there is a certain kind of like a pop aspect to Superman that it's not a bad thing, you know. Everybody celebrates. I mean, it's popular all over the world for a reason, you know. I mean, I think like people can celebrate what America is too, as well as kind of knocking it. And I think that people, you know, in the same way that people celebrate England and at the same time as knocking it, you know. And I think that Superman should have that. Shouldn't be afraid to be very red, you know, very red, white, and blue stars, you know, stars and stripes. He shouldn't be frightened to do that. I think that people like that about Superman, you know, the kind of wholesomeness of his character, and you know, I think
Paul, you're gonna make me cry.
Well, we all want that from Superman, don't we? We want him to be kind of wholesome and nice, and you know, we want that. You know,
I agree totally.
It doesn't matter whether you're American or not. You know, it's about, you know, having a good-natured, loving, kind of, you know, compassionate guy. It's to be celebrated, and it's so contrasty to Batman. You know, it's that gloom and doom. You know,
right.
It's part of what makes them work as characters, I think, when you put them together, because they're just so at odds, aren't they? I mean, they can't stand each other.
Right.
You know?
Well, yeah, they're kind of like the yin and yang of the DC universe. Look at them.
Yeah. I love the way they've played, you know, Wonder Woman as a kind of like that balance, you know, that she's kind of in between there, making it all work. You know, she feels important, which is nice. You know, without it just being it never feels shoehorned for a minute. She feels like she stands her ground with all these other characters, and that in itself is an achievement these days. Because, you know, it's easy to look at Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman and all that and just kind of accept her for what she is. But I think until this incarnation of Wonder Woman came around, I mean, all we had was the Linda Carter version from the 80s, and it could quite easily have just been knocked, or I don't know, not have been treated with the same respect as a character, and not just because she's female, but because she's not Batman or Superman, you know.
Right.
So I think it's great that they've managed to pull that off. My only concern now is clearly actors are going to start changing, and I kind of feel like it's not a time for half measures. I kind of feel like it's all or nothing, you know. So I don't think you can get rid of some of them, you know. And I think Superman's going to change, Batman's going to change. I think the Flash, I don't think we're going to get Flashpoint. I don't think that's going to happen. I could be wrong. I think Cyborg's done. He's
in your hopes, Mike. Did you hear that?
I know. Paul, you're
killing me, Smalls.
Paul, you took me up the heights with the Superman and the United States, and I'm almost wanting to play the national anthem while you're talking that. And now I'm hearing the Death March in my head.
Well, it doesn't mean we can't get another Flash movie, but I just think Ezra Miller's days are done. I think he's out. I can't see it. So what I'm concerned about now is, like, you know, I think after Momoa, I mean, who on earth could you get to fill his shoes? I mean, surely you can't get rid of some of them. It's going to seem weird, right?
Well, and you've built Superman. You've built Aquaman up now, which honestly, I think they've done the true Aquaman from the comic books. Aquaman has been done a dishonor over the years. Yeah. Because he in the comic books, he is super powerful. I mean, he almost has the strength of Superman, and they showed that in this film, and I really like that. Because a lot of people think, oh, he's Aquaman, he swims and he talks to fish. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know, but they don't see, like you said, all these characters are godlike characters,
Mm.
and Aquaman is just as much godlike as Superman is, honestly.
Yeah. Mm.
So yeah, to go away from Jason Momoa, I don't know where you
Mm.
go from that. I have no idea.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you know, recasting is a trick. I mean, you know, I kind of feel as though I called the Marvel thing long before it started to happen. And I'm still talking about it now.
Yeah. Who do you put in the Iron Man suit after Robert Downey Jr.? I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is like Iron Man come to life, you know?
Yeah,
Who takes
I mean,
that spot?
Anybody who's not going to get paid 50 million a movie is the answer. You know, I think that's the bottom line, is that it just becomes financially prohibitive. You can't do that. But I think I said as soon as Doctor Strange happened, you know, because I was a Doctor Strange fan and I was keen to see a Doctor Strange movie. But as soon as that happened, I went, okay, I get how they're going to recast everybody now. And Athena was like, how? I was like, well, you know, Strange is so kind of directly connected to the metaverse and all these different parallel universes and all that. Somehow there's going to be a magical event. Bang, everybody's a new person, you know.
Gotcha.
So somehow that's definitely going to be the way, the simplest way to make that play out. And everybody's just going to have to accept who's
interesting.
DC could do the same thing through Flashpoint. Because Barry Allen changes everything with Flashpoint.
Yeah.
So we could get that in Flashpoint.
I know they were talking about Keaton, right? I know they were talking about Keaton.
Yeah, there has been talk that I'm really excited about. Michael Keaton is my favorite Batman. And Steven and I both talked about that on a previous episode. But have Michael Keaton come in and play the older Bruce Wayne, I think would be fantastic. I would love that.
That's for Batman Beyond, you mean?
Yes. That's the rumor anyway. So, but I haven't heard anything official.
I think that would be a good, I mean, I don't know.
You don't like that?
No, I like it. Yeah, I like it. And I'm a big Batman Beyond fan too. So, you know, I think it's an interesting way to go, especially when we've had a lot of the same thing more than once, you know. It's you know, I hit Superman kind of overload at one point. How would it be?
Right.
I think it was in the middle of Batman v Superman. I was like, I've kind of had enough Superman movies for a while, I think. You know, where it felt like it wasn't doing it for me, you know. But mainly it's because I'm aware of this whole tapestry of other characters that aren't getting a look in, you know, and it's like all these other wonderful comic characters that never get a movie, and we're on like Superman and Batman movies 10,000 or whatever, you know.
Right, because they keep rebooting. Okay, which character needs some spotlight?
That's a good question.
Martial law.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, they'd have a hard time with that though, because Pat would want to control it. His character. You wouldn't mess Pat around. I don't know. It's got to be popular. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the Green Lantern, but I'm not that hopeful.
Oh,
I mean, I like the core in a big way, and I felt that the movie was a bit of a letdown, even though I like Ryan Reynolds, you know. But I don't know. I mean, I have strange ideas for what. I mean, I feel as though like the Green Lantern Corps could be, you know, Star Wars meets Justice League. You know, it could have that kind of level of appeal. You know, get out into outer space. Don't worry about it. Get out there. You know, and I feel like DC needs to hurry up and get on with that, because you know you've got while DC was trying to decide whether or not the customers were ready for the audience was ready for a Wonder Woman movie. You know, Marvel was making a movie about a giant talking tree and a raccoon. You know, they were like wide open, you know, to what might be acceptable. They get it, you know.
That's a great point.
I just feel like the creative team behind Marvel is just way stronger than we've got at DC at the moment. But then they make the odd movie that you're just gonna go, wow. I mean, like Wonder Woman was incredible. So
yeah.
But I say get in the space. You know, that changes things up big time. There's all kinds of things can happen then. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, where are we at on time, man? I've been just talking.
Oh man, this is our longest podcast yet.
Should have warned you. Should have warned you. Sorry, guys.
No problem. No problem. This is a great conversation.
As soon as I'm sat at a mic, there is no time. You know.
It's all good, man. It's all good. You know what that means? That just means we got to have you back on again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No problem.
That'd be great. Hey, Paul, first of all, it has been fabulous to meet you in person and stuff. Thank you so much
Thanks,
for your
dude.
time. And
Cheers, dude.
this was great.
Anytime.
Excellent.
And we didn't
All right.
even get to talk about Steppenwolf properly. Can you believe it?
I know.
Oh yeah, we did. You know what?
Talk about Steppenwolf.
I like the funniest take I've heard on Steppenwolf was it Grace Randolph? Did you hear her talking about it?
No,
she just went, but he's so cute. She just thinks like he's this giant monster, but his face is like, oh, look at his little puppy face. She just thinks he's got this really squeezable cheeks, you know, like,
right.
Meanwhile, he's destroying people with giant axes and
right.
Yeah.
He looked way better in the Zack Snyder cut.
Way better.
Way better.
And I love the armor and how it moves.
Adaptive,
yeah.
So absolutely.
Cool. Almost an Iron Man feel to it, you know.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Definitely.
Very much so.
That did a much better job.
All right. Well, we're probably going to keep going on and on if we're not careful.
Yeah.
So, Paul, thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
You're
so
very
much.
Welcome, guys. It's been nice to chat to you.
Great.
It's been good.
Yeah. And hey, thank you for the perspective. I mean, that's what I got out of today was just the perspective that you bring to looking at movies, to looking at design, to looking at characters. And even when you said earlier was story first, I caught that earlier, but story drives everything else. And that was pretty neat. So thank you.
Well, thanks, guys. It's been nice to chat to you. And it makes a change from Jimmy and Jason. It's pleasant. I feel at home. You know, everybody's got a beard. It's great.
Right?
I'm home at last. Yeah.
I am honored, Paul.
Yeah, we are in great company. Thank you so much. Any last words, or Paul, for you? Any last moments or thoughts or concepts?
No. I mean, I'm sorry. I've been coughing all day. I've got a bit of a tickly cough. I finally had my vaccination last week, and it seems to have given me a little bit of a tickle. But yeah, crazy. No, I'm just glad this got made. It's an unusual situation. I can't believe it's actually happened. You know.
Agreed.
I'm very happy for Zach because after everything went through and everything, I mean, it must have been heartbreaking not to get this finished.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's great. I mean, when I heard Snyder Cut initially, I thought, you know, it's probably going to be 2.5, 3 hours long. You know, like, but not 4 hours, and like almost nothing by, you know, Joss. It's like, wow. And I think, like, you know, when I saw the original version, I didn't like it at all, and I thought a lot of stuff for Wonder Woman I didn't like. It all felt a little voyeuristic. Some of the cuts and stuff seemed a bit weird, you know. And whereas this one, I felt like, you know, she looked fantastic and godlike the whole time, and all the characters had a dignity to them that I didn't think was very present in Joss's version. But it's going to be an interesting exercise for years for people, both inside the industry and outside the industry, and that this is a really rare occurrence that you kind of get two movies that are essentially entirely different, apart from maybe 30 minutes or something.
Right.
So we get these two different directors' takes on the same topic, working on the same movie, and you can kind of compare and contrast and see kind of what the choices they made differently. And so it's an interesting exercise in sort of seeing just how different the same movie can be, you know.
Right.
It's fun. I'm glad we've got it to look at.
Yeah.
And
oh, great words. Great words. Nice. Well, Mike, any last I almost said last words. That was going to sound fun. Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a long conversation though, so you know.
Any final comments, my friend?
I'd just like to say that I really, really enjoy the Snyder Cut. I think it was much better take on the Justice League than the original one by Joss Whedon. We got so much more. We got like I said, we got the character profiles, which I thought really added to the film. Especially if, granted, yes, I'm a comic book geek and I know all these characters by heart, inside and out. But I know a lot of people who came into the films and they didn't know them like I did. And those character profiles, I think, helps those people who are just coming into this, especially considering that we didn't have the development of the DC universe like we did the Marvel universe, where they concentrated on characters first and then brought them all together for the big, huge film. Which, yeah, that's Warner Brothers' mistake, in my opinion. trying to rush things. We got to catch up with Marvel. I don't think that was the right attitude, but I do think that this film was a good correction to those mistakes. And I just hope that we get to continue it. I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately, just from the rumors that I've been hearing. But I would absolutely love to see a Justice League 2. I would love to see a Flashpoint come out of this. If we could get a Ben Affleck, a Batfleck flick, I would love to see that happen. So go ahead.
You've gone and made me think of something again, Michael. So this is going to be another hour. When you said,
so you're saying
it won't, I promise.
We get a bonus. We get a bonus episode out of this.
Bonus material. I think you was asking which characters, which Justice League Dog. I'm a huge Constantine fan.
Oh yeah. That's another episode. Yes.
I loved Matt's version of Constantine on the TV show. I thought he was amazing.
Same
I
here.
thought he embodied the character so completely. And I read every issue of Hellblazer, and I'm a huge fan. So
nice.
I looked at it and went like, there he is finally. And my friend, FJ produced the Constantine movie, and I didn't like it, because I was like, this is not Constantine. But the TV show, I felt they nailed it. And then it got cancelled within half a dozen episodes. And then Swamp Thing, they had this great TV show too that looked like it really had legs, and that landed at the wrong time, so that got cancelled too. So I feel like the two of the best like DC sort of TV shows have been cancelled before they really got a chance to get on their feet. And a lot of the CW stuff I think is very meh, and not really kind of the stuff for kind of long-term fans. But sorry anybody that's crazy on the CW out there, but so I'd like to see those characters kind of brought to life. And I know at one time there was some talk that Guillermo del Toro might be doing a Justice League Dark movie, and that for me would be perfect, because he gets a lot of the stuff that inspired that, things like Frankenstein and Dracula and all the old Gothic horror, so I think he would have made a fantastic Justice League Dark. That would have been really interesting with like Dead Man. And
I'd like to see your designs for Justice League. Hey, that's a plug. Hey, somebody hire Paul for your design work for the Justice League Dark, please.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers, Paul's waiting for your call.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, Mike. Well, you want to sign us out? Hey, everybody, real quick. Thanks so much for joining us on Two Geeks and a Microphone podcast. We have had a fabulous time with Paul, just in front of everybody. Paul, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, guys.
It has just been.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah. And Mike, it's all you. You're closing us out.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you to Paul Bateman. I really appreciate you being on the show. Like I said, we've been trying to get you on since day one.
I know.
You were one of my first choices, whether you believe me or not. You really were. So we really appreciate having you on, and I hope to have you on again. And I'll close it out slightly different since we got our friend from across the pond. I will say cheers. Thank you for joining us today on the Two Geeks and a Microphone podcast. Tune in next week when we will have more news and reviews. Until then,